you all to give it up for an amazing woman who is the co-creator of the Womb Garden and Haiku, who has such a beautiful property there. Reyhan Ma-Albertson.
So grateful for you and your presence and how you bring all of you to this point. Thank you for the things that you have taught me. I see. All right.
Hi everyone, my name is Reyhan. Very honored to be here. Thank you, Kailani, for setting this platform. I have a very short slideshow, and I'm realizing once I got here that that's really not what I'm actually going to talk about. Don't you just love it when that happens? But I do want to touch on this about the power of our cycle. Harnessing the power of your moon. And if at the end of the slideshow we can all be empowered by knowing ourselves as cyclical beings. Oh, that's so helpful. Thank you so much. I think the slideshow would have served its purpose. Next slide, please. So just etymology of the word menses, or menstrual cycle. It's derived from the Latin word mensis, which means month, and that in turn is derived from the Greek word mene, I think, and that means the moon. How many of us, when we were introduced to our period, was also introduced to the notion that we are connected to the moon? Anybody? No. And thank you. How is that so? Our moon cycle, the actual moon, is cyclical in nature, and so are we. I feel like, am I? Thank you. Thank you, Robin. There is this correlation between the moon cycle and our wombs and us as beings. In so many ways, life, right? We always say the cycle of life. And I have a beautiful story that I would love to share at the end of the slideshow if time permits. But coming back to, I just wanted to introduce the very word for our menstrual cycle is moon. Next slide, please. So I love this because it shows it as a cycle. A lot of us are familiar with the linear, chart of where our hormones rise and drop, and it goes in a straight line kind of thing. And this shows it in a cycle. And I just really love that the uterus is just surrounded by flowers. And I feel that's a really great visual for me because I love to be surrounded by flowers, and even better if it's in a bath. And I know a place where you can go for a flower bath. You can talk to me later. Next slide, please. So I'm just going to go through really quickly about our menstrual cycle and how we can work with our cycle in planning our lives. I'll start with the menstrual phase. This is usually, typically, everybody has a unique cycle, just to get that out of the way. But typically around 1 to 5, 1 to 6, that's when you are bleeding. And this is also called the inner new moon, And the seasonality, the season that we are in is winter. And also very important for me to mention here is the archetype that is attached to this phase, which is the crone. And when I say the word crone, I say it with such reverence. Like the connotation to crone is so revered. It is a place of power, and I'll come back to that. This is the time where we set intentions, we nourish ourselves, we rest, we date ourselves, put ourselves first. It is a time of quiet, stillness, and really feeling into what needs attention. Your energy is low at this time. You really need to take time to rest. You may want to eat foods that replenish. It's a time of introspection, and a lot of us feel very introverted at this time. We're not scheduling large parties, going to big events. It's the lowest energy of the cycle. This may also be a time that we'd like to gather with other women. I've been under a beautiful mentor that's been coming to hold circles for at my place, and she always likes to start with yin feeds yin. And it's important for us to gather with women. Yin feeds yin, and yang does not feed yin. So I love that, and I just wanted to borrow that from her. Next slide, please. The next phase that we come into is when the uterine lining is thickening. This is the follicular phase, typically around 7 to 13, give or take. This is the inner waxing moon, springtime, and the archetype is maiden. This is the time where we create and we renew. Your hormone levels are still low, but they are rising. Your energy might start to come back a little bit. You might want to eat some lighter foods, salads. Your mood improves, yay, for everybody around us, right? You're more engaged. This is when you can put into place the intentions that you have planted in the first phase. You make schedules, set in structures for those intentions to grow. This is also when you may want to communicate new ideas. So you're sending out that intention into the universe so it can take form. Does everybody understand what I mean by inner waxing moon and your inner season? That's just basically, it doesn't correlate to the moon cycle that we're in. It's what we're feeling within. Next slide, please. In the ovulatory phase between 14 and 19 or 20, 21, inner full moon, summertime, time for harvest, and the archetype is the mother or the empress. This is the time where we really express, we create, and we connect. Now, this is the time for networking events. Your energy is high. This is when you're most fertile, not just for making babies, but for your ideas to really take, so you can have a bountiful harvest. This is when you can create new programs. You can delegate tasks. Yes, so this is just a really full phase, and we come into the mother, and as a mother, we're multitasking, and we do it really well. This is that phase. Next, please. So the last one is the next phase that we're coming into is the luteal phase, and that's from 20 to 28, 29. This is the inner waning moon, fall, and we are in our creatrix archetype. This is when we reflect, we listen deeply, and we let go, we release. And what's most important is this is the time we're preparing for our rest phase that's coming back in next. So many of us are conditioned to bull through our day, and never mind that you're tired, never mind that you're bleeding. We still have to go through our day, and people are depending on us. And I'm here to implore you to really honor the rest stage, because when you honor that rest stage, it brings about so much more power in your other phases, in your full moon stage. This is when your hormones are rising to peak levels, and they drop off right before your menstrual cycle, your menstrual phase. Foods that you might want to eat in this time: leafy greens, legumes, just things that will prepare you for the bleeding. This is time that you might desire to clear. Your energy levels are receding, and the time to take care of any to-dos that will hamper you from being fully in that rest stage. So this is a very quick run through about how you can harness the gifts of each phase in planning your life or navigating the life, navigating relationships that you have in life. Once you delve into this, it becomes, you can begin with tracking your cycle. And when you track your cycle, you're able to find out your own tendencies in all of these phases and use those tools in creating just in magnitude. So that was, next please. Those are the phases. I've already touched on this, to work with the ebb and flow of your cycle. And you naturally feel it, right? That stillness is so important for you to check in with yourself and say, well, how am I feeling today? Maybe I don't feel like running a marathon. And really work with that. And that's when, that is the first step in the deep listening and honoring of your body. When you're in touch with your cycle, you really maximize the gifts that come in all of the other phases. I guess when I got here and I heard Kailani talk about her story and Sophia talk about her story, I also was called to share a story that has to do with death. And I started to think, well, that's too much death. And the thing about it is, no, it's not. It's a cycle. And I was able to see death through such a beautiful lens of gratitude and great love. And I would love to share it. My mom passed away in December. And 19 years ago, my father passed away in this tragic plane crash. And I really think that that event prepared me to be able to see the beauty of dying when my mother passed. The last few days, I was very blessed to be her primary caregiver towards the end. And what I witnessed in the last few days was how truly she was still living her purpose in the fullest for the rest of us that are still here. I was able to sleep in the bed with her, tending to her every need, changing her, bathing her, feeding her. And what does that sound like? That sounds like birth and having a baby. And for me, it landed so deeply, and I was so grateful for that experience. And holding her hand as she transitioned was really such a huge blessing. I was able to hold space from a place of honoring this transition and honoring the cycle of life. Which brings me back to us honoring our own cycles. We have the innate answers within our bodies, and we just need to open to that. This year, we're starting the 3rd year at the Womb Garden of holding girls group. And this is a group of girls ages between 9 and 13, pre-puberty years and into puberty. And we have 4 pillars in designing our offering. One is practicing the voice of your intuition as your greatest compass. The next is honoring your unique design. And I feel like all of this has been mentioned today. The 3rd one is building your tribe. And the last one is honoring your moon cycle. It's been a beautiful experience holding the girls in the last couple of years. And I believe this is our answer to a lot of the healing within ourselves. Yes, the offering is called Moon Maidens. It's a girls group. But really the healing is happening within us. There was a profound moment when I heard something very simple being said by one of the girls in our girls group. She was 10. And it was something that I had not known or was not in touch with until I was in my 30s. And for me to just hear this being spoken in a 10-year-old voice brought me to tears. Why do we not talk about our menstrual cycle? Here's a fun exercise. What are the euphemisms that we have used for our periods? One from this side. Well, that is a word. That's a good word. Sorry. On the rag. One from this side.
In Spanish, we call it la loca,
The crazy. So, we have all these euphemisms, and a lot of it, unfortunately, is based around taboo, shame, and it's time to change that. There's no room for that. This is our power. This is where we create life. And our daughters need to know that, and our sons need to know that, and our men need to know that, our partners need to know that. So in our rest stage, they can bring you tea. They can run you a foot soak. Because we are manifesting for all of us. And if we are not taken care of, nobody's happy. I feel like some of the other things I'd like to touch on might come up in Q&A, but next slide is just a thank you. So. And it's got flowers.